Welcome to Tonic Experience. My name's Darren Kramer. This week's guest is jazz trumpeter Gabriel Mervine. Gabe is a wine enthusiast, so that's our tonic of the day. I'm drinking Old Soul. He's going to share some different wines that he likes. And in case you're new to the show, this is what Sonic Tonic is all about. Basically feeling good and being in the moment and doing the things you love. Thanks for being here. So everybody, please welcome Gabe Mervine, chiming in from downtown Denver.
Yes,
I'm
sir.
north. I'm up by Westminster, so we're about 12 miles apart.
Yeah.
But awesome you're here. Thanks for spending the time.
No, it's nice to be here and nice to be collaborating on some music and just collaborating in conversation too.
Yeah. So let's welcome everyone. We decided to go with red wine today for Sonic Tonic. So here's to you.
Cheers. Clink.
Yeah, I should probably get some sound effects.
I was just thinking that.
So what are you drinking then?
Well, right now I'm drinking this nice Tempranillo. I actually have a friend over at Appaloosa, and I work there. It's a bar downtown, quite a bit playing music. And he, at the beginning of quarantine, kind of sent me a list of, actually I asked him, I said, can you send me all the affordable bottles, like under $20 that you really like? And he sent me a list of like 11 different bottles, all under $15. So
Great.
I went to Applejack and I bought one of each. And so I've been doing a lot of sampling. Some of my favorites were this H3 Cabernet.
Hold it up closer. H3
Like I
Cab,
said,
okay?
all under $15. I've been really enjoying that. But also, not to go into too deep into it, but I also, during this quarantine, I've stopped by Nocturne a couple times. And this has been my favorite from there, this little Grenache. And
Nice.
Scott and Nicole are really well versed on good wines. And so I've been going in there. And the third source of my liquor consumption this quarantine has been from Dirty and Rowdy Wines, which trumpeter Eric Bloom from Benny and Zoida's Selections runs this little thing. And it was actually pretty cool. We did I did a Zoom call just like this, but it was a virtual wine tasting with live music. And so everyone's at their respective homes and one person plays some music, another person talks about wine and where it's from and different grapes. And so I've been kind of digging on the red wine this last couple months.
It's an awesome thing, isn't it? And what is it? Like diving right in, we're going to get to some really cool music that we just played together yesterday for my Funky Friday. And we'll talk about that and a little bit about freelance life, being a freelance jazz musician, what that entails, and now this new kind of twist that's happened in the last 3 months. But since we're on the wine thing, yeah, so what is it? When I asked Gabe, what did he want to talk about with what drink this week? And he said pretty much he's only doing wine and tequila these days. So what is it about wine that you actually really love?
I mean, there's a number of things. One is just how smooth it is. And I like being able to like drink something slowly and have it remain equally as delicious. You know, when a beer is changing temperature, sometimes I don't enjoy the flavor as much when it's room temp as when I first started drinking it. Wine seems to remain good like for a whole set as I visit and come back, and kind of same thing with tequila. And prior to that, I was really into different scotches. Yeah. Same thing. You can kind of just let it sit, drink it at your own pace. Scotch, tequila, wine. Also, I can like throw the cork back in or put a little sealer on it or whatever those are called, and then come back to it the next day. I don't want to waste anything, and it's nice to be able to open up a bottle, have a little bit, cork it, and then resume the next day without feeling the pressure to finish a whole bottle
So
in
right.
the night.
I agree 100%. That's the big thing about, yeah, whiskeys and just drinking stuff straight, that room
Yeah,
temperature. It's always the same, and there's no ice either to dilute it. So every time you take a sip, it's like it just like it was. In fact, I'm going to do it
yeah,
now.
yeah. And like I said, for people like us, I also think we're in the brass family. I've even like my friend Maddie from Appaloosa. We've even talked about like because some wines you drink and they like dry you out, and then you want that juicy steak or whatever pairs well with it. But for me, a lot of the time I'm drinking like, during a set, having a sip here and a sip there. And so like I want something that's like more fruit forward, a little more sweet to keep my like the enough saliva to keep playing. So I've even like there's music and wine pairings for sure. It's not just food and wine.
Yeah, that's a great point, man. And
Yeah.
do you find what about the flavor or, because some people with coffee or with beer, IPA beers and stuff, they just don't like the overall flavor. And
Yeah.
and I did a sonic tonic on that. The bass is the bass, meaning the bass is the most important instrument in any band. And really the main ingredient is the most important and the most forward, right? So if you actually don't like grapes or you don't like an alcohol taste, you're probably not going to like wine.
Yeah.
But what do you like about it? The actual flavor, the details of it.
Yeah. I mean, I like things that are a little bit sweet and a little bit tart. And that like totally describes a lot of what, some like Pinot Noir wine that I drink. And also kind of, talking about like Scotch or tequila too. I mean, it's a totally different flavor profile, but also it's like there's a sweetness there, but it's not too sweet. That's why when you asked me about doing the Sonic Tonic thing, I was like, oh man, when was the last time I ordered a cocktail, like a mixed drink? Because I'm not like a sweets guy, really. Like I kind of like an intense flavor. Like you brought up coffee, and I'm an espresso guy. I like that like well gritty.
Yeah, man. Grit and pungent, right? I mean, and strong. It's kind of aggressive, but then after you swallow it, then there's all these subtle things that kind of take shape, and each bottle or each brand is slightly different, which is cool, right?
Yeah, and I love like the couple people I talked about, like talking wine at Nocturne or at Appaloosa or with Eric Bloom, and they're as passionate about wine as we get about music, and I mean that's something that excites me in life, regardless of what someone's talking about. Sometimes even if I have no idea. Like one of my old roommates was a mechanical engineer, did really crazy engineering stuff, and we used to hang, and I would try and describe music theory to him, and he's just and then he's trying to describe engineering, the mathematical problems he's doing, pages and pages and pages of notes, very few numbers on there, and I'm so confused. But I'm also really just enjoying the fact that someone's like so passionate about something, kind of regardless of what it is.
Yeah. And that's that's an interesting point because all of this jazz community in Colorado here, it's pretty tight knit, very cool. And it makes me think of, yeah, Sam Williams, our friend, sax player. He's a real coffee aficionado, and he imports beans and then actually roasts them. And I know
Yep.
you were talking about doing that. Have you actually roasted yet?
I've been trying.
You
You
got them in
know,
your little toaster?
I'm looking over in my kitchen right now because I actually bought this little, like, when you smoke or when you roast coffee beans, the amount of smoke that comes out of them is like, so for about 3 weeks I was doing it in my kitchen. I'd have to unplug all the fire alarms or smoke detectors, sorry, and do this, and my whole place would be like this murky, smoky mess for like the half of the day. And then I was reading these articles about how like actually that smoke isn't that good to inhale. So I bought this little outdoor basically like a one stove unit or whatever that's electrical. And I've been roasting them in my backyard just in a pan. I turn them, and like it's a fun activity to kind of mess around with. And you're right. Yeah, I just like import them. I like buy them online. They show up at my doorstep, and it's like crazy how inexpensive these like really nice beans are. And it's kind of a fun process to mess around with, especially with some of the free time, especially when this quarantine first started. It was like there's nothing going on. There's nothing to do. So what can we do to pass the time? Garden, clean. I'm not going to do that. So
I mean, let's not be ridiculous.
Yeah. So yeah, I rearranged the furniture. No. So yeah, I've kind of been messing around with roasting some coffee beans.
That's awesome, man. I mean, there's so many correlations between. That's why I started the Sonic Tonic, is thinking all these details and sort of passions and going deeper about coffee or wine or food. You know, my sister Dawn, great trumpet player, and
Yeah.
she's way into cooking, and everything she cooks is
Amazing.
awesome. Yes, you've
Just
had it,
so
right?
good. So good.
The desserts, but also she just, made like different soups recently, and any breakfast thing she makes. It's just all incredible. And I think being a musician and detail oriented, it carries over into other areas of your life. So I think that's why music education is important.
It totally, that's a great point, and I think about that a lot actually, and how whatever you want to call it, attention to detail, obsessive compulsive, whatever you fall on that spectrum. But yes, you're totally correct. The ability to kind of hopefully just temporarily put the blinders on and really focus on a single activity or a single scale or a single piece of music or a single recipe or whatever it might be is kind of what drew us to the arts in the first place, and what makes that commonality between like cooking and any kind of these detail oriented studies. It's like when we're into something, for better or for worse.